Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving right into something absolutely massive. I mean, we are unpacking the promotional footage for a cinematic adaptation of the ultimate classical epic, Odysseus's arduous journey back to his family. We're looking at the raw, emotional, and, let's be honest, brutal reality of a hero's desperate struggle to reclaim his throne in Ithaca. As we go through this, we're going to break down the sheer psychological weight of this narrative. It's a story where legacy, endurance, and some really bloody vengeance completely collide. It's an incredible preview of what promises to be a fiercely tense confrontation, and I am so pumped to guide you guys through exactly how this whole story is being framed.
Okay, let's dive into this. Tell me what you remember. A wife, a son. Right off the bat, this instantly establishes the emotional core of our protagonist, Odysseus. Think about it. After years of being away, all those memories of war, of glory, of fighting monsters, they just strip away. And what's left? Just the fundamental, absolutely desperate motivation of a man trying to get back to his family. It sets this profoundly intimate tone right before all the chaos hits. So the key takeaway here is that before he's a king or a warrior, he's a husband, he's a father. And that singular focus, that's what drives the entire cinematic odyssey we're about to explore.
Section 1. The arduous journey home. A hero's desperation.
Now, the contrast here is just absolutely jarring. Over on the left, we've got the ultimate boast of the ancient world. We won the war. I mean, that is the absolute pinnacle of mortal achievement, right? The culmination of a brutal 10-year siege. But then, look at his current reality on the right. Help me go home. All of that triumph, all that military victory is entirely overshadowed by how helpless he is right now. The hero who literally conquered an empire is reduced to begging for safe passage. It perfectly captures this man who has totally mastered warfare, but is completely, utterly powerless against the vast, unforgiving distance separating him from Ithaca.
Moving on to Section 2. Hostile usurpers in Ithaca, the threat at home.
So, while Odysseus is desperately trying to cross the sea, his family is going through absolute torment back home, which has created this terrifying power vacuum. We have a household waiting for a master. And you know, nature abhors a vacuum. And well, so does an ancient kingdom. That empty throne has attracted some incredibly dangerous rivals. We're talking about suitors who have basically invaded his home, aggressively demanding that the queen choose me. And these guys aren't just, impolite house guests overstaying their welcome. They're a hostile, occupying force. Their entire claim to power rests on this relentless insistence that the king is never coming back. They're systematically trying to erase his legacy while literally consuming his estate.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates just how insanely cruel these usurpers are. You're pining for a daddy you didn't even know, like some sniveling bastard. Wow. I mean, this isn't just political maneuvering anymore. This is vicious, deeply personal psychological warfare leveled directly at Odysseus' son. These rivals fully believe the king is long dead, and they are actively, gleefully mocking the boy's grief and his loyalty. They're basically trying to break the son's spirit to completely sever any remaining ties to the old king. It really shows just how immense the pressure is on this family to just throw in the towel and surrender their home.
Section 3. A son's enduring hope, holding the line.
Now, put yourself in his shoes for a second. Imagine being Odysseus. You're miles away, completely lost in the world, and you get hit with this piercing question: who's looking after your wife and son? Just think about how terrifying that is for a moment. Being stranded out there, knowing for a fact that your family is totally unprotected against those monsters we just talked about, this is a massive, massive dramatic pivot point in the narrative. Our hero is suddenly forced to confront the agonizing reality that his family is entirely vulnerable. And the emotional toll of that realization, it's immense. It completely transforms his journey from a simple, desire to return home into an urgent, frantic race against time to stop the total destruction of his household.
But meanwhile, back in Ithaca, despite all that torment, we hear this incredibly bold declaration from the son. My dad is coming home. The usurpers are constantly in his ear whispering, no, he's not. What would he do if he came back here to find all these suitors in his house? But the son, he holds the line. This is an act of total, utter defiance. It's unwavering hope stacked up against an overwhelming hostile majority. He is single-handedly keeping his father's throne warm, anchored only by this stubborn faith in a man he barely even remembers. Section 4. Vengeance, Fate, and Gods. The climactic confrontation. Alright, so before the swords even clash, there is this really profound philosophical battle happening. On one hand, Odysseus is a man who needs to control his fate. That's his relentless, driving willpower. He absolutely refuses to be a victim of circumstance. But then, he's met with this chilling, almost existential warning.
but you cannot control this. That world is gone. The forces arrayed against him, whether we're talking about the suitors entrenched in his home or just the chaotic elements of nature itself, they're all telling him that his old life is completely dead and buried.
But obviously, Odysseus is having none of it. Bringing vengeance? Bringing it all. Let's go. I need everyone in his party dead. Okay, so the bitter conflict we've been tracking, it is now fully escalated into a promise of a bloody, ultra-violent homecoming. He isn't coming back to negotiate. Actually, scratch that. He isn't even coming back to share power. He is coming back to entirely eradicate the men who have dishonored his household. This dialogue just perfectly highlights the sheer, terrifying wrath of a father pushed to his absolute limits.
And then, suddenly, the stakes just elevate completely off the mortal charts. No one can stand between me and home, not even the gods. He's not just talking about the men in his dining hall anymore. The footage heavily hints at these terrifying, divine forces actively trying to block his path. It even references this moment of pure dread where someone whispers, "Keep us straight. I think it's asleep." I mean, he is navigating past ancient slumbering monsters and literally defying the will of the heavens themselves. His desperation has forged a willpower so insanely strong that he is willing to battle the divine just to reclaim his throne.
Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. If not even the gods can stand in his way, what's actually going to be left of the man once the vengeance is complete? Sure, he'll reclaim his throne, absolutely, but at what ultimate cost to his soul? When a man brings all the vengeance and literally defies the heavens to slaughter his rivals, does the father and husband who simply wanted to go home even exist beneath all that blood? It's an incredibly heavy, powerful question about endurance, legacy, and the true price of a violent homecoming. So definitely think about that as you anticipate this epic release. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive explainer, and keep your eyes peeled for more of these cinematic explorations.